Now, painting tools are pretty universal. You can use them interior, exterior, and there are a few variations. A few things that you can use you probably won't see here today because I just don't use them. Now, of course, whenever you're painting, you do need to cover the area, whether rag, that gets that extra stuff off, okay? We use that in prep work, and then we kind of dust that off on our leg, and we use it when we're painting too to make sure that our work looks good. Now, when you're doing this prep work, you're going to put on a little spackling, so you want a flex blade, and you can see this is a different kind of blade. It's just not as stiff, and it gives a little bit. And we're going to do some caulking, so you're going to want a good caulking gun as well. Now, these caulking guns, just be sure the action works well on it, and you want to have some kind of a poker to be able to poke the end of the caulking. If for some reason it's locking up on you or something, just take it back there, replace it. Now, once you have your prep work done, you are going to want to start cutting everything in and priming it, and you're going to need some brushes for that. Now, when you're doing a lot of different kinds of things, you're doing some priming, you're doing ceilings, you're doing walls, some interior, some exterior work, you want a lot of different setups. So keep 3 or 4 cut pots around so that you can get into different paints without having to clean up in between. Try and use a dry brush whenever you get into a new paint. So try and keep a brush for every paint setup you're going to get into. And that's brushing. Now also, another tip is try and use your really good brushes, the super sharp ones on the inside and the rougher brushes on the outside, just because they get more wear on the exterior surfaces. Now let's talk about rolling. Now rolling, of course, you got to have a 5-gallon bucket to pour your paint up in and do your boxing. And I keep a couple of these around. You see I'm sitting on one now. Also, I keep a little water on hand, and even if I'm way on the other side of the site, away from the spigot, I keep a little water in a 5-gallon bucket so I can kind of wash my hands periodically. Gets the caulking off and a little bit of paint that accumulates as well. You want to have a 5-gallon bucket. Don't use those little roller pans. They're a mess and they don't handle the job as well. Now, exterior, a 5-gallon bucket and a roller is all you're going to need, but interior, you're going to need some kind of a roller screen. Now on the inside, I always use the roller screens because they control the paint. You roll down on this and it's going to push that paint into the roller nap and it's not going to fly all over the place. You see I got a couple of them here because I'm doing ceilings and walls on the interior today. Now you want to keep a couple of roller frames on hand as well. Now with roller frames you don't need as many of them as you do with the brushes. But it's a good idea to have a different roller frame for each setup as well. That way you don't have to worry about getting the wrong paint on the wrong thing and you don't have anything wet and runny on you. Now these are all the basic items that you're going to need here, and also you're going to need to have good roller naps. I use the 1¼ because they work outside and they work inside. But if you're going to do real meticulous inside work and you don't want a lot of paint flying around, just use a 3/4 inch nap on these latex paints and you should be fine. And these are the tools that are required for interior and exterior painting.